Good morning, welcome to this morning's Outlook. This is Kim speaking. So let's get straight into looking at the risk events this morning. He clicks on the right page, hopefully. There we go. And I'm just going to do a quick refresh on this page. There we go, get the numbers in. So nothing yesterday at all, really of any significance anyway. Today then we've seen a bit of a disappointment on the wage prices for Australia, down a pip, a point. Chinese data came in less than expected. It's not what we want to see worldwide. I mean, we want to see a strong Chinese economy. It really does drive Asia, and there's quite a knock-on drive to it. The jobs report this morning not good. 29,000 unemployed, that rather than the 20,000 expected. So quite a high number there. The only thing is the average earnings look 8.2. This is very inflationary, and we might see even further reaction to that. But that is the headline figure at the moment, that 8.2. I think the overall jobs market is not looking too bad, but we've just got to watch out for that. Anyway, there we go. Today we got the nothing on the. I'm just looking at Europe there, nothing there now, and then just looking through German economic sentiment. Sometimes we get a bit of a blip on this, blip 15 pips or so. And then this afternoon, the key numbers, the CAD inflation data coming through there. So key numbers for the CAD, so watch out if you're trading that. And US dollar later, retail sales. Again, these can both these numbers can move their respective currency markets, and you might get a bit of a double whammy on the dollar CAD. Right. So there's the risk events. Let's look at the technicals. And the technicals, well, they're seeing a little retrace at the moment. Now this might be an opportunity to buy, but for some, but not for me. The euro dollar here is in a firm downtrend now. It's broken its trend structurally. It's got lower highs in. Now people will still be pointing to most likely a divergence across the lows there. Let's have a look. Actually is not on the MACD. That's interesting. There is on the RSI, but MACD there is not showing as a divergence. Anyway, so we're getting a bit of a bounce at the moment off of the quarterly pivot. Actually, it's found a bit of support into. So a bit of support into its quarterly pivot. Absolutely beautiful move into it yesterday. Actually, would have been a nice exit. I don't believe in buying into them like this unless we're in a really strong upward trend. It's pulled back and then off it goes. Here I was looking yesterday on some of these markets for a retrace into the weekly pivots. A bit more of a move into the weekly pivots for the short side, but it's not happened. Morning, Yoki. So, and John, morning. But so at the moment, it's still to me bearish. I'm sort of looking at potential. It's picked up a little bit at the moment. We often see this pre 8 o'clock, so don't get too hung up on it. But yeah, we could get all the way back to the R1. I'd be looking on the short side on this, below the pivot there, obviously. So I'd be looking for a breakdown of 109 area, 109.06, maybe a bit lower. Just give it a bit of a chance not to just base out on those prior lows there, 109 area, and see if we get a run down towards its S1. It has tested the quarterly pivot. In fact, let's just go and have a quick look. See, it got all over it at the beginning of the quarter. It has tested it, bounced, went through it. It was all a bit over it at that stage. It's fresh to people's minds here. It's found the bounce. We'll see. I'm not looking to short it, so go long on it. I'm only looking for the short side. So if it does bounce further, good luck to it. Pound dollar. The pound dollar. So it's just come out a smidgen there. Getting a bit of a bounce here also. I mean, we saw most of the markets move a little bit better on the later afternoon there. Double bottoming again, probably a bit of RSI divergence kicking here, but again, not the MACD. It's not picked up on this because it's just held down there. You had a couple of bars up, but generally the speed and everything else, it's consolidated. And the MACD is doing its job here of not giving people divergences and not giving the suggestion you should be buying this. However, it's on the bigger time frame there, someone might buy it, but when you look down at this 4-hourly time frame, and it's to me, yes, it's bouncing at the moment. Maybe not a short today, but with this action that's just going on here, but maybe tomorrow, later, I'll see. But I'm not interested in buying it. US dollar yen. Now, this is moving beyond. There's nothing technically wrong with being long on this. I know one or two of my traders are long at the moment on this, and it's good. Sentiment-wise, we're seeing it's good to be long. Personally, the only thing is that I say the fundamentals, but it's just the Bank of Japan around these sort of levels which they might intervene. And having said that, I've not seen anything written too much, and perhaps I'm the only one expecting them to do so. Last time it got to 145, they intervened, but with their policies, maybe they're just happy leaving it as it is. So at the moment, it's continuing to push up there. Can you get into it? Probably not easily. Even this morning, look, it's broken out earlier on in this bar here at the moment, but we've got a decent trend going on. Aussie dollar. So the Aussie, well, yep, it's again double bottom sitting below here. I was waiting yesterday for a retrace, and it hasn't come too far away from it now, but a retrace into the weekly pivot to look for the short. Now it might be going from here. We'll see what happens post 8 o'clock here. But it's got the bearish engulfing here. It's just slightly short of the where the weekly pivot is here, but looking soft again. US dollar CAD, well, still largely shoving to the upside, although it's quite choppy for long periods. Quite ugly when you look at it. But probably best avoided when it's in that mode, particularly when we've got news out later. New Zealand dollar's been largely similar to the Aussie. In fact, it's weaker if anything. Both got a bounce in the end yesterday, but again, I was waiting for the retrace back to the weekly pivot. It didn't matter whether it did it on the Aussie or the New Zealand dollar. Wouldn't have taken both. The New Zealand dollar is slightly weaker. Well, you can see that it's not even got anywhere near its weekly pivot at the moment. But that's all I'm looking for. There's no point needing to go. If it doesn't do that, you could take the breakdown. It's on a quarterly pivot. Sitting there, yeah, it's the quarterly pivot sitting there at the moment, the S1. So it's sitting around its quarterly S1. So I realise I've got so many pivots on here at the moment. Got all the. Let me just remove some of these because it's easier to see. It's this thing you don't want a long way back on some data. It's not going to make any difference unless you're back testing. There we go. It's a bit cleaner. So I've just now got my alert with this week's pivot on here, and then I've got the quarterly pivot. So back here you can see it clearer. There's the quarterly pivot point itself in the S1. So it's sitting on the S1. Nothing stopping it to roll over and break. We've still got quite a bit of month to go yet. It's only halfway through ish. Okay, US dollar, Swissy. Again, there's no point me really running through this too much. It's just chopping. I'm waiting to see if it gives a more positive upside move, but for now it's not. Euro yen, seen quite a surge this morning on this. It's pushed up there with the euro pushing up. Don't know if the euro was dragged up by the pound there, but anyway, big move, running almost back into the highs here at this stage. It's just a smidgen away from the highs there. It might just run out of steam into its R2 anyway. We'll see what happens post 8 o'clock, but otherwise quite a bullish market. Euro pound, managed to get a trade off the euro pound. That's big press limit. Big news. I don't trade it very often. I looked at it and then I sort of looked at the lower time frames and it looked all right for one. And I was initially looking at the trend line here, came down the time frame, and it looked just so nice here. It pushed up. I was thinking, well, okay, I'll wait for the daily pivot. Well, that wasn't going to happen. So I'd left a sell stop and sell stop down to the S1. That was perfect. Today we might get something similar, although S1 might be out of stream, out of the chances here. The only thing, this is a news bar. News bars can be a bit weird and it might just retrace itself up. It might yet go back down there, but it's done everything I was expecting it to do yesterday. In fact, it went beyond what I expected. It's gone back to these prior lows here. So, but it has now developed lower highs in it, of course. On the shorter time frame, what's it looking here? Has got some more lows back here as well, which might become a target. So slightly there, a bit more positive. Sentiment wise, the euro's got more bullish than the pound though, so I'm just wary of that. Euro pairs, let's just come down a time frame so we can see what's going on here a bit clearer. This 4-hourly time frame is perfect for looking through here now. So the euro pairs, the euro catching a bounce then against the Aussie here. There's no real surprises there. It should be stronger. I was looking at the weekly pivots, but just went through it. Didn't really set anything up until well, 2 o'clock this morning. So it's come to it and hasn't bounced off it. So that has not happened. Morning. Euro CAD sitting here, lower highs running through it. I do like the potential of it. As I say, this currently this bars spoil things. Again, this was one we'd set up yesterday, and for the S1 where it went way through its S1. So there were trades around yesterday. I actually cancelled my sell stop on this. I had a sell stop sitting on it. Didn't trigger in time. I cancelled it, and it's sod's law. It eventually rolled over and went off and hit target and beyond. But so you've got to stick with your rules, and I don't like taking trades immediately after 10 o'clock. So that kept me out of it. Today though, it's not looking so pretty. These bars at the moment have spoilt things somewhat. I can only blame the pound. You see what's happening here. There's nothing kicking around that I can do when a bar's done this. We could get a continuation, I guess, on the pound here against the Aussie, for example. But we might have just seen so much of the momentum all in that one bar. Pound CAD doing a similar thing. The frequency of retracements here has been quite high. We might get the continuation to the upside. It's sort of in a downward range here at the moment. We could see the break of the highs of that. In fact, we might have already seen a break of the highs here. I'm just looking at the range, how it's sitting across there. I was looking for channel. That was the word I was trying to think of then. Anyway, downward, a bit of a downward channel. Not particularly the best out there. So exhausting things here a little bit at the moment. The pound yen real, that's going and going and going. There's nothing there that I can do anything with at the moment. So we hit on 8 o'clock as I'm looking at the moment, seeing markets move backwards again. This often happens. We see complete reversals often. Just looking at a couple of markets just pulling back on the 8 o'clock bell. Not that there is an 8 o'clock bell, but there is in my mind. Anyway, other pairings, Aussie CAD, often we get something from this. It's in a lovely downward trend overall. It's a bit, this is on 4-hourly, bit bitty, but we could be from this 4-hourly picture look for a bit of a continuation, but that may be later this morning into the afternoon now. Aussie New Zealand, messy as anything. Choppy. Aussie yen. Not really liking these pairs, the Aussie yen. I mean, if we saw the yen gain some strength, I think we'd look at the Aussie yen for the short side, but at the moment the yen's just weak. Okay, that's pretty much it on the Forex pairs there. Not a great deal at the moment, but as I said from yesterday, people get a bit sort of, oh, it's a quiet summer markets. It just means that some days that you may be getting a few opportunities, you've got to take them, and then other days you won't get opportunities that are so clean and you just leave them. Looking at well, actually, I'm looking at oil first here at the moment, and it ain't doing anything. It's what it is. It's going sideways in a tight old range, and it's certainly not for me where it's sitting there at the moment. I would like to have seen more of a retrace. You see, it's barely a retrace on the dailies here. I need it to retrace further. I'd like to see it back to its monthly pivot there for the long side. I want to be long on it, but not from these prices. It's too high. I don't think it's got the opportunity at the moment to push further up. There's a lot of selling coming into it. So anyway, there's gold. Quick look at gold. Gold, it never fails to surprise me if I go onto this page over here and look at if this is staying. If you look at what gold is being done to, there you go, gold being bought. There's about 80% of retail traders buying gold. Why would you want to be buying it when it's going down there? Is my question. It's the usual old thing. Like just as they're selling the euro yen, yep, there might be opportunities to sell the euro yen, but beware. These markets are in strong trends, and this is a relatively strong trend at the moment. It's not for a long period, but well, it had this move here. It's, to me, still a sell. Okay, let's get rid of that. So yeah, gold just is only a short, but there's not a lot of opportunity to get short on it at the moment. Quickly looking at the equity markets, then no surprises here to see CSI 300 off with those weak Chinese data, the weak Chinese data having a knock on across the board. We saw the Nikkei close fractionally up here. I know it's a red bar, but it gapped open and moved down. But the longer it sort of sits where it's sitting, as I said, if it gets to the sort of lower 31,723 area, that for me is a good potential short there. Nifty 50. Well, it's a funny old one. It's finally sold off and managed to bounce really, and looking a bit more positive at the moment. It has broken that low there, but the 50 MA is still a question on that. Now I'm looking at this 14th of August and we're on the 15th today. That has not opened. I was just thinking that looked like it was yesterday. There's no data on that, or it's been a closed market, whichever. Ignore me there. Still waiting for the breakdown there. Maybe just the feed that I've got on there. The Australian 200 still chopping away, ugly as anything. Now getting into the US markets. Okay, a bit of positivity yesterday. Typical when I'm sort of pointing out the fact that they could be rolling over, but the money's running into bonds, and generally bonds and the equity markets doesn't happen so much, but it did end up positively yesterday here. We'll see how it develops today, but just how ugly these markets are when you come down to an hourly. You see the mess below. I mean, as I said, there was high frequency in terms of the waves coming through here. At some time it will sort itself out. The very fact that it's in a downward move and the frequency is there's a lot of it, i.e. there's buyers coming in again. At some point maybe those buyers will break through the top there and we'll get a decent shove from the shorters, but yeah, the sentiment from the bigger market traders, the commercials there is very bearish. I say very bearish, it's quite bearish. Their net holdings still remain massively bullish, but last couple of weeks we've seen it sort of ease back. Dow Jones, similar picture here, all consolidated, not really going too far. Nasdaq managed to pip up yesterday. Is it going to continue? It's got lower highs in there. To me, there's potential it might roll over some more, but I don't want to really be selling it these markets, when they are in such upward movements. There'll be plenty of opportunities if they roll some foot more. What I don't want to do is be buying it. So either DAX. So the DAX, you wouldn't believe that. You'd think this is a 5-minute chart on the DAX compared to how it can normally be, but it's just chopping there. It's range bound. If you're trying to trade that market, it's quite difficult. You come down to lower time frames, and it's whipsawing around, and it's going to be burning people. Sometimes, if that's the only market you trade, you should be spotting this and perhaps leaving it. Maybe looking really shorter time frames, but it's massive risk sitting in it. The FTSE selling off this morning. Don't like that inflation really on the jobs there. This just puts more potential on further rate increases for the Bank of England. So all soft there, and looking soft. I mean, if you're looking for a market short, it's a better market short at the moment. Right, that's it for me for this morning. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Bye for now. Right, must